So with the release of the OnePlus 9 RT, I wanted to revisit one of the best phones of last year, and actually, one of the best phones ever. This OnePlus 8T has been my rock for YouTube filming and just using it in general over the past year, with me opting to use it over other more expensive flagship phones, including the OnePlus 9 Pro and the Honor Magic 3 Pro. And I'm going to tell you why that is, and why I think that if you can still find one online or in store, or even a second-hand model, this still might be good value for you. And in a subject we shall cover later in the video, if you're a OnePlus fan, this might be really worth it. This OnePlus 8T has got to be one of the most reliable, consistent and fun phones I have ever owned. But on top of that, it's also one of the best value devices I've ever used by far. Usually when I upgrade to a new model of phone, which I have done since I bought this one, I will sell the older one. Makes sense, right? I didn't do that with the 8T, it just was so dependable, it hasn't faltered once in a year's worth of use, and is just as fast as the day I got it. On release, this phone cost under €500. Granted, in America, they only released a higher spec model at $750, but that's just because you Americans are rich and these Chinese companies know what they're doing. But now, if you go on Amazon, you can get the same 256GB plus 12 gigs of RAM version, new, for $499. And if you go on eBay, you can pick one up for way cheaper than that. And if you did, you would be buying a phone that can still nibble on the heels of this year's 2021 releases. But it's the way it does it all in such an efficient and exhilarating way that makes this phone great. You get a snappy 120Hz display, super fast 66-watt charging, 12GB of RAM, last year's flagship Snapdragon 865 chip, excellent battery life, a simple yet elegant design, and cameras that are still decent. And if you think about it, all of those performance parameters, specs and features, well, they sound like something you would hear about on a 2021 phone. But let's take a closer look at performance for a moment, because even though the 8T is a year old, this still might be the fastest feeling phone I own. That Snapdragon 865 chip was the leading Qualcomm chip last year. The 8T still easily games at the highest level, going through top-end games like Call of Duty Mobile in a buttery smooth manner. Loading and opening apps is lightning fast, and navigating around Oxygen OS is such a nice and smooth experience. And it's Oxygen OS and that snappy performance that leads me to one of the main points about the 8T. I am so attached to the 8T because for the past 6 months I have also owned the OnePlus 9 Pro. I shoot everything on this YouTube channel on phones, I always have done. I've never used a professional camera. I shoot all of the B-roll, and even when I'm doing the talking head parts, I'm using either portrait mode on the 8T or the cinematic mode on the iPhone. So why didn't I use the OnePlus 9 Pro this whole time? It has a better camera system, laser autofocus, 4K 120fps, a higher resolution screen, perhaps better stabilization, and the same battery size, right? Yes, on paper it has all of those things. They just don't work very well when shooting a YouTube video, which involves shooting 4K or 1080p consistently in bursts over a small period of time. And this is where the OnePlus 9 Pro struggles to the point where I can't use it. I literally can't use it. The phone tells me I can't use it. And this is because in high demand situations, my OnePlus 9 Pro overheats to the point where shooting footage is impossible. And this definitely has something to do with this year's Snapdragon 888 chip being extremely inefficient and power hungry, to the point where you can read about the same problems occurring on other flagship level phones, which is why this year I would completely avoid any phone with the Snapdragon 888 chip inside. Which brings me back to the OnePlus 8T. Yes, this has last year's chip, no laser autofocus or 4K 120 frames FPS, but it still has all of the tools I need in a camera system to shoot these videos. And if this is the first time you've come to my channel, hey, my name's Michael, and a subscription from your lovely self would be absolutely fantastic. And if we look at this footage I shot in the 21:9 aspect ratio, you can see what the 8T is capable of delivering. This thing has never let me down. Yes, like the OnePlus 9 Pro, there is a 5-minute limit on 4K filming, but unlike the 9 Pro, I can still film small bursts of 20-second 4K footage consistently over 2 hours without the phone lagging. And still images are also great. In my full review after 1 month, I said that most people would not know the difference between the cameras on the 8T and the latest iPhones. And although they may have lost a step compared to this year's flagship crop, I still think for most people these cameras will be fine, if not great. The wide and ultra-wide angle lenses are brilliant still. I've taken the majority of the thumbnail pictures for the videos on this channel with the 8T, and they've turned out fantastic. And if you would like to see my full original review of this phone after 1 month, then I'll put a link in the description below. So let's talk about those other basic things that the 8T just gets right. Battery life has been fantastic. This is probably the best experience on Android I've ever personally experienced when it comes to all-day power. It has a big but not massive 4500 mAh cell, but it does have the advantage of an efficient chip, allowing it to power through the day even outside on 5G and still have plenty in the tank before evening. And if you do get low on power, the charging speeds are still top rate. It uses OnePlus's 66-watt fast charger that can get the phone from 0 to 100% in just under 40 minutes. And that charger, by the way, that comes included in the box is powerful enough to charge my 15-inch MacBook Pro. So I just take that power brick and USB-C cable anywhere I go and can use it basically for anything. It's the best utility charger, and I couldn't live without it. So the final thing I want to talk about is the favorite thing people like about OnePlus phones, and that is Oxygen OS. This has been beloved by mobile tech enthusiasts for years for its simplicity, speed, and lack of bloatware. It has a fantastic stock Android feeling, but as you may have heard, this will be changing soon with OnePlus's merger with its mother company Oppo, where it will be switching to Color OS, an OS that I actually quite like. It's full of useful features and tricks and comes with a lot of ecosystem support, which logically OnePlus needs to become a bigger, more dominant player in the market. These moves are understandable because OnePlus is a business and businesses need to grow, and in OnePlus's case they need to expand into other product categories to create an ecosystem like Samsung and Apple. But in doing so, it will ditch what has been the operating system seen by many as the gold standard of stock Android, even more pure than Google's own Pixel experience. And the fact that OnePlus are abandoning it is indeed sad, because when I go back to using the 8T, it is the experience over everything else that I enjoy the most. The raw speed, the simplicity, and the magic of Oxygen OS. And there is an argument that could be made that the OnePlus 8T is the last original OnePlus phone, a competitively priced flagship killer with top-end specs, raw performance, and pure stock Android that can't be beaten. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.